Hey everyone, look, we've literally spent this entire year hyping up just how ridiculously bullish XRP has been acting. I mean, if you pull up the price action from the last year and take even a quick peek, it's pretty, no wait, it's incredibly obvious how bullish XRP has been moving. But here's what's really standing out. We're now in the month that could completely flip the script for XRP. And trust me, we're not only talking about those juicy price pumps, we're talking about massive acceptance and real adoption coming from the biggest Wall Street players. That's right, it's October, meaning we're in the exact month where we're going to see some of the most significant decisions made around XRP-based ETFs. When you actually sit down and think about this, it's going to be super thrilling for everyone who's been holding XRP because honestly, this past year has been wildly, wildly bullish for us, especially if you were loading up during those brutal bear market lows. We were grabbing it around 20 to 30 cents. Today, we're still sitting pretty at $3 after touching a crazy high of $3 and like 60 plus cents already this year. And now we're all here speculating and trying to predict exactly where XRP can blast off to this cycle. And hey, a whole bunch of people have their own price predictions floating around, but the real thing we're zeroing in on here is that huge catalyst sitting right in front of us, which is, yep, you know it, the ETF approvals. When we're talking about price movement, I probably don't even have to spell it out for you that, yeah, prices can absolutely explode with ETF approvals, especially at the bonkers scale of what we're dealing with for XRP, because we've already seen this movie play out with Bitcoin and also with Ethereum. Now today, if we hop over to Fiat Leak, we can instantly see that there's a crazy amount of XRP getting traded every single minute. And at certain moments, especially recently with all these gigantic spikes sweeping across crypto, we watch this rocket to 1+ million. And if we scroll back to earlier this year, we saw this thing blast to like 5 to 10 million plus, which was straight up insane. Obviously, the monster demand surrounding XRP perfectly aligns with the story that it's the number 3 biggest crypto asset, and there's just massive, massive demand for XRP too. And when we pause and think about that, we're obviously eyeing those ETFs because if the hunger is already there for XRP in this space, and if we're noticing such incredible adoption growing around the XRP ecosystem, we definitely need to zoom out and think like these filers who are viewing crypto ETFs as serious money makers. Because let's be real, the biggest factor that hooks them on an ETF is how much actual demand exists, right? How much cash are we talking about here? Listen, when it comes to XRP, I mean, it's crystal clear they can rake in serious money from this because, come on, we're talking about the 3rd largest crypto asset in existence. But these last 12 months have been nothing short of incredible for XRP and everyone who's been holding it. So picture this for a moment. If I'm an ETF filer, some asset management firm, or basically any company playing in the ETF game, I would absolutely be hungry, like starving hungry, to get my XRP ETF greenlit, or heck, even just submit one. This is precisely why tons of folks think that BlackRock is gearing up to make their move. And between you and me, I totally think they're going to. But wait, there's more. October isn't only massive for XRP ETFs, my friends. We've got 16 actual XRP ETF applications chilling on the SEC's October calendar as we speak. So yeah, we're keeping our eyes glued to this, especially considering that fresh update straight from the SEC. They completely revamped the whole framework surrounding ETFs. We've been diving deep into this one, no question about it, and we're really dialed in right now because I truly feel like we're on the edge of witnessing something huge happen with these ETFs. There's a quote right here, and it comes from James Cipher. He dropped this truth bomb saying, all right, the $1 million question is how much actual demand exists out there for altcoin ETFs? This has been haunting everybody's mind, especially as we've watched things unfold, right? People keep wondering, okay, but like how much appetite did people even have for altcoins way before ETFs entered the chat? I'm convinced alt season is basically screaming proof of just how crazy the demand is for altcoins. So when we break down what James threw out there, he mentioned in an episode that Solana and XRP clearly stick out from the crowd because they've got live futures markets already running, but hold up. He threw some cold water on expectations, saying, don't count on seeing Bitcoin-sized money pouring in. They'll definitely pull respectable numbers as far as capital flows and assets under management are concerned, absolutely. But the juicy long-term growth potential, that might actually be hiding in basket strategies or index-style products. Now listen, I've got to push back on him here. I truly believe that XRP ETFs could throw punches with some of these heavyweight ETFs in the ring. Now, are we talking about squaring up against Bitcoin ETFs? You know what? It's tough to call. I genuinely believe that tons of people just don't really understand what XRP actually is or what it's doing out there. And that's exactly why we've been watching these Bitcoin ETFs absolutely crush it, because everyone and their grandma has heard about Bitcoin, right? Like over the years, it's just been everywhere. So it makes total sense that people are naturally gravitating toward Bitcoin ETFs. Now with XRP, I mean, it's a big question mark whether we'll see that same kind of crazy demand, but I could totally see it happening. But hold up, let's talk about these ETFs for a second, okay? Because remember that number 16 we mentioned? Yeah, that changed real fast. So check this out. We've got another post from H. Bartada. It's Osprey Funds teaming up with REC shares. Yep, the exact same Osprey Funds and REC shares that already has an XRP ETF trading live right now. They just filed for 21 crypto ETFs, and guess what's included? An HBART ETF. Things are getting absolutely bonkers, and if you're sitting there thinking this is insane because we literally jumped from 16 to an additional 21, we're now sitting at 37 total. We've got another 30 plus crypto related ETFs that literally just dropped with the SEC this afternoon. And listen, this is only the tip of the iceberg, people. Any crypto ETF your brain can possibly cook up, yeah, it's getting filed with the SEC within the next several months. Trust me when I say you guys have zero clue what's about to hit us. This intel is coming directly from Nate Geralshi himself. And if we're breaking this down, sure, this batch includes those Osprey filings we were just geeking out about, but we've also got the Defiance Daily ones in the mix. Take a good look at all of these ETFs. Like, it's genuinely wild to witness just how much hunger there is for crypto-related ETFs at this moment. The temperature keeps rising higher and higher and higher with each passing day. This is turning into such a gigantic chunk of Wall Street now. And you know what? I'm getting this vibe that traditional finance is basically stampeding into these ETF products right now. Everyone's scrambling for their slice of the pie, yeah? But hey, there's still certain things acting as roadblocks keeping them on the sidelines in this space. Having said that, we've still got a boatload of heavyweight players already in the arena. Case in point, you've got Franklin Templeton over here, Wisdom Tree making moves. I'm talking some really heavy hitting names in this game. BlackRock's already jumped in, and so has Fidelity. But listen, here's what you need to understand. Tons of these major players are basically just dipping their toes in the tokenization space at this point. We're not hitting that peak adoption everyone's talking about. We're nowhere near seeing adoption at actual scale. They're not really putting the tech to work just yet. What I'm genuinely waiting for, that moment when regulations crack open those floodgates wide. Look, ETFs are absolutely fantastic. Sure, it shows we're finally seeing their clients start getting exposure to these products. It's incredible for adoption. It's incredible for growth. It's incredible for all that volume rushing in. But what I'm truly waiting for is that utilization phase. That phase is going to flip everything upside down for this space. That's precisely what I've got my eyes on. But beyond all this, we know CME Group is getting ready to launch round-the-clock crypto futures and options trading in 2026. Another game-changing feature that lines up perfectly with the peak. This is real talk, something that's almost identical to what the NYSE has planned for 2026. But this is yet another piece that aligns perfectly with that peak adoption phase of DeFi and everything DeFi related. It genuinely feels like all of these giant players are now starting to move towards embracing DeFi standards. And another post from Nate, he literally mentioned the same exact thing. He even highlighted here that with crypto futures and options trading smashing record levels on CME, The world's top derivatives marketplace drops the news about 24/7 trading launching in early 2026. TradFi rapidly adapting to DeFi standards, and we're just getting started. I mean, when we really examine what's going down here, basically every single TradFi platform, from derivatives marketplaces to actual stock marketplaces too, they're all flipping over to 24/7 or 24/5 trading. This is massively bullish as a clear signal of where we're moving. Because let's be honest, we've been discussing crypto adoption. Okay, so look, mass adoption, tech at scale, all that stuff. We've been beating this drum for years now, literally years, but I'm telling you, 2025 is honestly shaping up to be the year where all these massive players in the trading and finance world are finally throwing their hands up and admitting it. They're like, okay, we get it. Something's got to change. They're realizing they need to either roll out 24/5 trading or go full send with 24/7. And yes, they actually need to embrace this technology. And here's the crazy part. It's happening right now. From what I'm seeing, 2026 looks like it's going to be the year where the NYSE pulls the trigger, CME Group follows suit, and I'm over here genuinely curious about who's jumping on board next. But wait, there's more. There's this wild development happening with XRP ETFs that you need to hear about. Remember that initial $5 billion inflow projection everyone was buzzing about? Yeah, well, Paul Barron covered this whole thing on the Paul Barron Network. Major props to Zave Crypto for bringing this forward. So here's Steve basically saying, listen, maybe I was being a little too bearish earlier, but scrap that $5 billion number. I'm now fully bullish on $10 billion pouring into the XRP ETF. And if that becomes reality, we're talking XRP potentially becoming one of the best performing ETFs in actual history. You've got to listen to this.
What about in terms of the XRP ETF? We'll talk about your Solana ETF, but you look at XRP and you had the bold prediction actually on our show talking about the 5 billion inflows in the first month. Do you feel still strongly that that could happen?
I may have changed my mind. I may have been a little bearish.
Oh, okay. I love it when Steve is bearish on
But
5
I'm
billion.
going to hold to that number because, if it hits that number, then at least, I'll be right. And if it's 10 billion, then I'm still right because, we got at least 5 billion.
Where would that put? That would put it up as one of the best performing ETFs, maybe in all of history.
It would. I mean, it would certainly, if we saw that kind of inflow, I think it would be definitely in the top 20 ETF of all times, if not in the top 10. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we saw how big of a response that Bitcoin got.
Yeah, well, that's what was it, like 3.2 billion in the first, right, 3 billion in one day. So the capacity there for an ETF of seeing in excess of 5 billion in a month for XRP, you feel is underreported.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's a very safe. That's a very safe bet, in my opinion. I certainly think that. I mean, let's go kind of back in time when we launched Bitcoin futures when I was with another firm. The first day there was over $1 billion in inflows, which made it.
Okay, for anyone watching who's like, wait, who's this guy? This is Stephen McClure from Canary Capital. Yeah, they've actually already got an XRP ETF ready to go. Now, when we're looking at what's going down here, all right, the main question we're really diving into is just how massive could the demand for XRP actually be? We're measuring this based on what we've seen in past cycles. We're looking back at 2021 as a perfect example because 2021 was such a wild time. I mean, yeah, XRP basically got kneecapped by the SEC. It really didn't pop off like it could have. It got kicked off every major exchange, but here's what I keep coming back to. Even with all that drama, and I'm talking straight up maximum FUD surrounding XRP as an asset, it still crushed it performance-wise. It straight up dominated most altcoins out there. We're looking at a ridiculous 1,100% surge from March 2020 right up to 2021's peak. Think about this. An asset caught in a monster lawsuit, a lawsuit the entire world was talking about. an asset that got completely yanked from every single major exchange, and an asset that was absolutely thrown to the wolves and practically erased from memory. Yet somehow, it still delivered that mind-blowing 1,100% explosion, racking up billions upon billions in open interest, billions in trading volume in just the past 24 hours alone. Like, seriously, sit with that for a second. Imagine the sheer appetite for XRP if it pulled off all of that while actively battling a lawsuit with mountains of negative press crushing down on it. That's precisely why when we look at XRP and these incoming ETFs, particularly this whole batch of ETFs awaiting their verdict here in October, we're staring at 6 ETFs just waiting in the wings for their deadline to drop. October could legitimately become one of the most monumental months in XRP's entire existence, and it might also serve as this huge flashing sign showing us exactly how much real demand exists for XRP globally. And listen, if XRP captures that $10 billion in inflows, we're witnessing a genuinely historic chapter unfold for XRP and everybody who's been holding it. Trust me, we're monitoring every single development here. We're keeping our eyes glued to this one, folks. As we roll into the end of the month, this is definitely something we'll be diving into. And you better believe we're going to jump on any updates the SEC throws our way. Listen, I am pumped about these decisions. Like, seriously pumped to potentially see these ETFs get the green light, especially if it happens in October. If it does, oh man, we're in for some really exciting times ahead. All right, so that's going to wrap things up for today. I really hope you enjoyed hanging out with me in this video. If you did, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and definitely turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of this free content coming your way. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Catch you in the next one.